Hello, goal getters. Welcome back to the Master Your Mindset podcast. Today, I am introducing to you our guest, who is Rebecca Lauren, and she is a dating and relationship coach. Now, we have had a live IG conversation together previously, or recently, maybe a couple of months ago. So, if you haven't checked that out, that is the part one of this. So, this is going to be the part two. We're diving deeper into some of the topics that we have already spoken about. So, in this episode, we unpack so much, starting off with how Rebecca found her dad cheating on her mum and how that actually led her into calling in the wrong relationship after wrong relationship after wrong relationship. We speak about the mindset that she adopted from seeing this, from other things that happened in her childhood as well. And honestly, we then go into a journey of how she went from being disconnected to herself and just going all in on herself so that she could have the best relationship with herself and also be able to call in her dream partner rather than continuing that pattern of calling in wrong relationship after wrong relationship. So we give advice, tips, like if you are single, if you are in a relationship or you're dating or you're married or you have children, there is definitely something in this episode for you. Rebecca is a wealth of knowledge. She's got so much advice for you. She's got a lot of tips for you, and she's got her entire story that she's been vulnerable enough to share with us. So I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. Let's dive straight in. Welcome. I'm Jessie, life and mindset coach, here to help you level up in your game of life. This podcast will deliver game-changing life advice, power play pep talks, and move-making energy. I'm all about life optimization through mindset growth and taking radical action. Welcome to my world. Let's play. Hey, Rebecca, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to connect.
Yay! And so we have done a live IG recently, actually. So for the listeners, if you haven't watched that already, this is almost going to be touching on some of those parts that we already spoke about, but also like the part two version of the live IG. So if you haven't listened to it, definitely go onto our Instagram. You will find it on either of our Instagram and you can watch that. But essentially, you've heard the introduction. Rebecca is a dating and relationship coach, and we are here to talk all about dating, relationships to self, relationships with others, getting into relationships. And I'm really excited to just dive in. So, first of all, for those who don't know much about your story, I'm really curious to hear more just about the journey it took for you to become a dating and relationship coach. Like, why does one just become a dating and relationship coach?
Yeah, such a good question. So let's just take it back to the very beginning. So in high school, I was always felt like a little bit different, like a little bit of a black sheep. I was always kind of on my own little journey, never really felt like I fit in. And so I could never really talk to boys, and I was kind of a bit outcast from the girls, and I was just kind of always on my own journey. And then when I was 15, I caught my dad cheating on my mum. And that was like heartbreaking. And then I moved out of home. And then from there, I just fell into wrong relationship after wrong relationship. And including that was like the relationship with myself. I was just like so disconnected. I was just taking any love I could get, I guess. It was just like a really unhealthy journey. And then it got to when I was 30 and I was in like a long-term relationship, and then we broke up, and I was like, enough is enough. Like, I'm obviously, there is something going on here. I need to figure this out. I've always been like a romantic. I've always been know that I've got more of sexuality that I want to explore internally. And I just always knew that there was more for me in terms of like the connection and the desire and the relationships that I wanted to have in my life. And so I made it my mission to start learning about relationships thinking that it was all about them and not me, because, we all think at one point that it couldn't be us. And then I went on this deep dive and realized that it was actually me. I really was, that I didn't have any self-worth. I was so disconnected. I was just disrespecting myself in so many other areas. And so I went on this journey of studying relationships and love and sex. And then I realized that I had a lot of work to do. And so that's what I did. I committed wholeheartedly to myself, to my journey. I got rid of any environments and people and relationships, friendships, anything that didn't serve me. And I completely went all in on me. And then through that journey, this is where the coaching side came into it, because I was working with a coach at the time and I thought, wow, this is powerful. Having someone in my corner to hold me through that mess, through the discomfort, through the feelings was like a saving grace for me. And so the more I learned, I really am just drawn to relationships and dating and mindset, because I know that to have the relationship of your dreams, to have go into dating with a real clear intention, like you really need to know who you are. You need to have a mindset that is like unbreakable, and you need to just be able to have really clear intentions on what you're doing. So that's a little bit of my story.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing that. I think the relationships that we see demonstrated to us in our childhood, in our teenage life especially, are so crucial to our beliefs and our beliefs as to what we can have in our relationships or for ourselves. And so hearing that, how old were you? Sorry, you might have said, but how old were you when you found your dad cheating on your mom?
I was 15.
Yeah, and it's quite a crucial age where you are looking and you are trying on different things that you're seeing different people do with the experiences. And so that's quite an introduction into, I guess, like that's relationships. So I'm curious to know, like, when it came to that part, seeing that situation happen, how do you think that influenced the men that you called into your life or like this dating situations that you had from there?
Yeah, so it I was in some really toxic relationships. So my very first boyfriend, from when I caught my dad cheating on my mom, he brought another girl home when I was in bed asleep. And it was just like heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. So it really was like I was just avoiding dealing with the pain. And like I said, I was just like attracting any type of love that I could get, but not letting anyone come too close. So it was just like this real turbulent relationships after relationship until I was early 20s. And then I just was single for so many years.
Yeah, wow. Because I just know like the importance of what your experience, like that you almost borrow other people's experiences to try them
Mhm.
on and experience them for yourself. So it's interesting with people who experience different things from their people close to them, their parents, their teachers, movies, like all of these sorts of things, and how you can almost borrow the beliefs from them and then figure it out for yourself. So I think this is really important where it comes into, and I know that you're going to speak about it because I know that you're really strong on this, but me also, I feel the same where it's like the relationship with yourself comes first, and that's how you can have thriving relationships outside of you. And it's really important to find that part of you where you can have clarity as to what you want in a relationship, as to what, you deserve in a relationship, not anyone else outside of you. So I'm curious, like from that part where you started diving deep into yourself and creating that unbreakable mindset that you speak about, and also those beliefs and gaining clarity on what you want. What did that journey look like for you, and what sort of things did you do at that time to do the work to create a really strong relationship with yourself?
Yeah. So when I really hit rock bottom, I, just had left a relationship, a man I loved. I just lost my best friend. He just passed away. And I felt like it was now or never that I had to take that journey. And so I started studying. I went off social media for 6 months. I moved to the country away from where I was kind of just completely starting fresh. I knew that I needed to have space. I needed to be able to think. I needed to be able to grieve and heal and actually just like figure out what I wanted for myself. So, social media, that was a big one, just completely getting rid of any distractions that could take me away from the path that I was on. Exercise is obviously like, the a number one thing. I really committed to like moving my body every day, and not from a place of like, you need to work out to lose weight, from a place of like, this is going to be good for your mental health. You're going to feel better after this. I got a dog, but I know that that's not relevant for everyone. But I got my beautiful dog, and he just really opened my heart up to show me how much love actually is available for me. And that was just a like whole other heart opening experience having a pet, which I'm sure you know because I know you've got dogs.
Oh my gosh, I'm like sitting here going, absolutely, it makes so much sense and it is so relevant for everyone.
It is. And I just really started like exploring myself. And I think a big part of my studies that I really dived into was a lot of self-exploration. Like there was a lot of mirror work, really looking in the mirror and just like being able to see myself and being able to like not look away when I felt uncomfortable, and like not look away when there was parts of my body that I wanted to shame. And it really was a really uncomfortable process from someone who like would run from the shower with their dressing robe on and like completely avoid any look of themselves. Like I really lent into that. And it took time. Like it wasn't like an overnight thing. Like I was off social media for 6 months. And then even when I got it back, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Like it was probably a year journey of like really just like slowing down to then be able to speed up and really getting uncomfortable. I started going to a few different events by myself and just started exploring different things. Like I went to a dominatrix event by myself and I met a really good group of like beautiful women who they were all, going through a similar journey, but they've like been divorced. And it was just like a really beautiful, wholesome night of just like connecting on a different level. Like I just really started putting myself out there and doing things that I was interested in and doing it by myself and meeting people along the way. And I think when you're forced to like, well, in my case, I moved hours and hours away from all my family and friends, and I wasn't online. Like I really had that space to figure out who I was, who I wanted to be. And over time, like I'm talking like a year, like I slowly started to like come back and evolve as this whole new version of myself. And like that person, then like I'm just so different now. Like I can hold myself in silence and with other people, and I'm so much more present. But I needed to slow down and disconnect to then be able to speed up.
I love exactly that. You saying like I needed to slow down so that I could speed up because I think what a lot of people think is that they need to be able to keep going so that they could speed up. But actually, I feel like that's slowing them down even more. I feel like, and I was actually running a caption about this not too long ago where it takes time, absolutely, to deal with the hardship. It takes time, whatever that might be. So in this case, self-love or building a really strong relationship with yourself. But first, take like letting go of all of those limiting beliefs and those limiting thoughts about yourself and that narrative and all of that. It does take time, like you say in your case, a year. A self-love journey can be extremely uncomfortable at times, but also so beautiful. And what I see is that some people choose until they're more informed, not to take that self-love journey because they're like, oh, it's going to be a whole year of healing and uncomfortable feelings. Whereas, like, if you actually look at it from the other side, it's like if we don't choose that route, then our life is ruled by our stories, our narrative, the things that we say, the judgments, our fears, our behaviors, all of these things that we don't see because it's in our subconscious and it's just on autopilot. So it's actually a lifetime of hardship versus like a year or two or however long it will take for you of healing. So I love that more and more people are opting for that healing journey where there might be uncomfortable moments and they're just full on committing to themselves, like you full on just like got off social media, which is firstly incredible, and then moved away. I feel like I have a little bit of a similar story, whereas like same, like I just left New Zealand and I moved to France and I just tried to find myself because I was like, what the who am I? Like, what is going on? And I think that was the start of my self-love journey. So it's not to say for those at home, if you know that you're ready for like a self-love journey, it's not to say that you need to move away from home, but having some distance and just giving yourself that time to yourself to figure out what it is that you want in relationships for yourself, what you deserve, that self-love, loving yourself fully, wholeheartedly, completely. I think that's a route that everyone must take at some stage. And I'm just so thank you for sharing like that story with us because I think that that's just so incredible. And so obviously that was the catalyst into this new you that you say, this whole brand new you, which is incredible. So I'd love for you to start speaking about like now you being that dating and relationship coach and helping others and what that entails and how yeah how you can help others with this.
Yeah. So it's interesting because a lot of people are struggling with the same things. It is, the relationship with self, it is triggers, it's projections, it's limiting beliefs. And it's interesting because the more I work with different women and men and I talk to them, a lot of people are living in fear. A lot of people are really unclear with actually what they're looking for. And I think just being able to be really honest and about that because I think a lot of people live in denial and I see it especially with dating, people will get the apps, they download them, they're just swiping for those quick ego hits, they're actually not being intentional at all. They don't have a bio, people are just really approaching it the wrong way. And really what they want is connection. Like everyone wants connection. It's how everyone has that value and that deep desire to really be seen, to really be loved, to really be appreciated. And I think the more that I got into learning about love, sex, and relationships specifically, is it's really the three biggest pillars. Everyone wants that relationship with their family, with themselves, with their friends. Everyone wants love, they want their connection. And everyone does require and desire, I guess, really beautiful intimacy in partnership. And so it's such a crucial point of happiness for people. But yet, you know, people miss it really easily because it really does start with yourself. Like if you are avoiding your feelings, if you're disrespecting yourself, if you're out drinking every weekend, for example, and just like, living in a state of busyness, you're not actually ready to like attract the relationship that I'm sure that you desire. So it's interesting because the more I work with people and the more I learn, it really is like people really need to just look in the mirror first and do that personal work. And I can guarantee you're going to attract, once you're ready, you're going to attract exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, I love that. And so I'm thinking now for someone who may have gone through a breakup, whether it be recently or in the past, I'm sure we've all been through breakups. For someone that has gone through a breakup, like how are they to know now if they're ready to get back up at it, like get back on the dating horse? Like how do I know that?
So I guess the biggest thing is like time, like how long have you actually been broken up for? Like on a weekend, like are you dating yourself? Are you happy being alone? I guess that's the biggest thing because when we approach dating and we're not actually happy in our own company and in our own space, it's easily just to attach to anyone who will fill that box. So I think, making sure that you're happy being alone, making sure that you are doing things that fill your cup up, living the life that you want to live. That would be my biggest thing. If you're not doing any of those things, then I don't think that you're ready to start dating again because I think you'll just find you'll fall in the same repetition of men or women in relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree. And it's interesting, something that came up for me when you were saying that is, or something that I realized when it came to like me coming out of my I was going through the breakup, and then I was having that time, and doing that healing and then working on myself, I realized that I will never, ever, ever get into a relationship until I love myself fully and unconditionally, because no one in any, like, whether it be partner, like family, friends, no one outside of me can give me that love that I like. Well, they can't give me the love that I need, but I can give myself that love that I need, but they can, anything outside of me is a bonus. So like now moving my mindset to that, I'm like, okay, cool, who I do call in and the person that I do choose to be my partner next, they're not going to be here to save me. They're going to be here to add on to my experience of life and relationships. And as soon as I realized that, that is when just the whole game changed. That is when I was able to become clear on what I wanted. And I knew that I was never going to be getting into a relationship. I knew that I was going to say no or yes, depending on whether I thought, okay, this guy, I'm kind of attaching myself to them. Like, where is it in me that I need to do a little bit more work? Um,
Mm.
yeah, it just felt so different to me from that point on, when I'm like, no one outside of me can give me the thing that I need, that love, but like the person outside of me, the people outside of me, my circle, they are such a bonus to what I already have, and that it just expands on my life experience. So I thought that was such a huge thing for me coming out of my breakup. Yeah, I thought that was incredible. Um, and then, so for someone in the dating phase, what are your best tips in terms of like, obviously now they are clear on what they want. They've gone through that self-love healing journey. What are your best tips to actually now find someone that is meets the description of what they want in life?
Yeah. So I guess the first thing is like choose how you want to date. Do you want to date online or are you just going to date more in person? And so I definitely think both can work. I definitely don't think like online dating is the only way you're going to find someone. But I think if you are choosing to date and not be on the apps, I think you need to say yes to everything. If you're getting asked to, if your friends are asking you places, say yes. If a work thing comes up, say yes. So I think just by being more open, putting yourself out there more, like you'll just naturally start to attract people into your little atmosphere. It's just how it works. And then I think if you are choosing to date on the apps, of course, you just mentioned like be really clear with what you're looking for, but make sure that your dating profile is you to a T. Like, be very clear on what you're looking for. Be very clear on the things that you want to achieve or how you want to meet. Like, I just can't stress it enough. Like, your profile is not like you don't need to people please on a profile. Like, if you're looking for a life partner, you're looking for a life partner. If you want kids, you want kids. And I think like just for me personally, because I've just started dating, and this is the first time I've been very intentional with what I'm looking for. My profile is very clear on my goals for the next few years. And the different types of men I'm attracting now is so different to what it was previously when I was on the apps. Like one of my things I put on there was like a clear communicator, and I'm getting paragraphs from men and they're asking me so many questions. And I never used to get that before, but that's because my intention wasn't there. And there was obviously, wasn't the right time. But now, because I'm very clear, I'm attracting all these really educated, good communicators. And it's just such a different energy when you get really clear on what you're actually looking for.
I love that so much. I love that. I feel like there are so many men out there that want someone that is a good communicator and that wants those kids and that wants what you want. You know what I mean? There is so many people out there, and it's actually so refreshing for them to actually see like profiles out there that are very clear, that are very like they know what they want, and I meet that description, and like let's have a chat. I just love that so much, because I think so often like when we haven't done that work on ourselves and we are attracting in those the bad boys or the uncommitted people, whatever it might be, I feel like that actually is our experience. So that's all we think that there is out there. And you hear a lot of people like, there's no good men out there and there's no good women out there, whatever it might be. But I just think that that's so cool when you actually start to do the thing for you, when you start to like become really, really clear on your profile, be really, really clear about what you want, then you're definitely going to attract those the aligned people, in which I think is the best tip ever. And I actually haven't heard that. So I love that so much, because I haven't heard that because I've never been on a dating app. Like I actually have never had the dating phase in my life, which is crazy to think about. But like, yeah, I haven't really had that. I actually got freaked out about it, but that's a story for another time. I want to move into like people being in relationships. Now, there's like a few different sort of angles that I want to take it at here. First of all, starting off with, I'm thinking about like childhood sweethearts, people who get together when they're so young and they haven't really gone through that phase, like at the end of their teen years or very early 20s. They might not have gone through that phase of like finding who they are or like trying different things or experiencing different things. But they're already in a relationship. Now, I know that I have my own opinions on this, but I'm curious to know, can we still do that healing when we are in a relationship in order to deepen the connections that we have already? Or is it one of those things where like, oh, it's just best to get out of a relationship if it's just feeling so out of alignment, so that you can do the healing and then potentially come back, or you move into another one? Like, what's your opinions on that whole situation?
Mm. So I definitely think you can make a relationship work if you're still learning and growing and healing. I think for it to work though, you need to be able to give each other space to explore different things. And I think that probably really comes into like the attachment styles as well. Because, men, for example, they mature a lot later than women. And there can sometimes be a little bit more immature. Like they need, to make mistakes to then learn, to make mistakes and then learn. And I think for relationships to work, it really takes communication. And I don't think that matters the age, but like communication, being able to freely express what you desire. And I also think that it just takes a whole lot of trust. Like you need to still have the same values. And I know typically women kind of go on a more healing journey a lot sooner than men. And I actually put a post about this because sometimes women can feel like they're outgrowing their partners and start looking in at them and thinking, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I really think there is a way to really invite your partner into a more deep and conscious relationship just by setting the example, just by kind of taking the lead, like without even really them knowing, by opening up conversation, by starting to do new things, have new conversations. And I think if you can do that, like I'm guarantee most men are going to follow slowly along that journey as well. And then over time, start to become more open, start to become more compassionate, or whatever it is that, you need from them. And I think that's where the whole journey can get a little bit mixed up because sometimes we expect other people to be exactly where we are in our journey. And in reality, like it's very hard to meet someone who's exactly where you are at your journey. Like there's always going to be maybe sometimes they're more ahead and maybe sometimes you're more ahead. And it's just the game of life. And I think with relationships, as long as your values match, that's really all that matters. The rest can come and go and flow. And it's like a roller coaster. And it's just the biggest journey that you'll ever go on. But with the right person, it's always going to be worth it.
Yeah, I love that so much. Communication is everything. Like once you're doing, whatever you're doing, like just making sure that you're on the same page, like at least your partner knows like where you're at, where they're at, but then also having that stepping away from the fact that like they don't need to be at the same page as you. You don't need to be riding this journey exactly like right next to each other. It's that space that you talk about, giving each other space to explore and experience what they want, what they want to do, things that they like. So I love that, like just creating that space, but then also knowing that it's going to ebb and flow one's going to be higher, one's going to be lower, whatever that means to you in your relationship. And I think that that's just that part of your journey to accept. And I always think that there's negotiables, obviously, when it comes to a relationship where it's like, okay, like what is non-negotiable and what is negotiable? What am I standing for? Or and then you'll start to realize that this relationship is either just out of alignment and that's also perfect, or it's in alignment and it's just this ebb and flow and you work together so well. So I think it's almost like a dance. I don't even know what type of dance is, but like I'm thinking about like dancing with ice skating where like the man's like over that side for a second and then she's swinging around over the other side and it's like then they come back together and it's like it's a beautiful dance where I think a relationship is going to go well. And so I'm thinking now when it comes to like a later stage in life where someone is, maybe they're married and then now they're a new parents. I'm curious to know because I have had clients with this where they almost feel that disconnection after having kids or after marriage, even where they almost get to that point where they get so complacent in their relationship where they just feel like roommates rather than in a relationship. So curious to know like the advice you have to keep that spark in a relationship or deepen that connection in a relationship when things are going on and you may just start to feel like yourself drifting a little bit apart.
Yeah, this is so common. Like it's so, so common. And I think the biggest thing is like it's so easy to get complacent. Like you have to really make a conscious choice to show up for your partner. And I think, flirting, always flirt, send a sexy text in the morning or whatever that looks like. Like make sure that you give them a hug and a kiss before work. Like I really think these tiny little things will mean so much to both of you because it's just a little way of connecting. And I think this is where like I always go on about it, but communication, making sure you're checking in with your partner every week, even if it's just one question. Hey, babe, how are you actually feeling this week? Or, how are you actually feeling now that we've got little Johnny in the world with our relationship? Is there anything I can do to make you feel more loved this week that I'm not doing? Like, it's just like, little questions like that that you can really just take a moment and like can guarantee your partner will open up about it. And that instantly opens the heart back up. It instantly creates that safety and that desire to like, oh, we're connecting. This is really beautiful. And so, like, I think communication and being really present with it is like my biggest thing because it's so true. Like, if you can just sit there and look at your partner in the eyes and just say, oh, like, is there anything I can do to make you feel more loved? Like, what a beautiful question. Like, oh, wow, thanks for asking me that. Like, and it might even be like, no, no, I know that we've just had a baby, like it's fine, rah, rah. Or they might be like, oh, I just really love a cuddle on the lounge before bed. Or, it could just be something tiny. But I think flirting, having fun, prioritizing date night, and just by giving each other like, you know, feedback, compliments, I think just connecting really. But it needs to like, we all want to have fun. We all want to be playful. We all want to flirt. Like, yeah, you need to just make the effort, I think. And it can feel really like a real task some days, but I can guarantee just by sending like a sexy text or, saying, I love you so much. Can't wait to see you when you get home. Something so simple can really just change the whole dynamic.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I really think that communication is everything. Like, I truly think that if you just communicate, that already has that like next level connection there. But if you just communicate effectively, ask the questions, just like hear them, see them, feel them, like understand where they're at and where they're coming from with what they're saying, there's like no games with silent expectations. There's like none of that. It's like when you actually both understand, you don't need to take things that they might say the wrong way, that in a way that they don't mean. I feel like communication is just everything when it comes to relationships, and they can be like a saver, they can be a connection deepener, if that's even a word. Like I just think that communication is like the goat for relationships. I love that. I know that you have an intentional practice when it comes to communication. Like, can you let us know what that is so we can potentially implement it if it aligns with us?
Yeah, definitely. I actually have a guide coming out soon, so hopefully that will be out in the next month. But what it is that with my in my previous relationship, we made it like a little ritual to every Wednesday night, we'd sit on the bed and we'd just like connect and just hold space for each other. Would ask each other a question. Like a good one is like, what have I done lately that you have felt the most love for me? And then like he would answer, and then I would answer. And I think we just made it like we're very mostly very disciplined with it. It's like, no, this is our time. We're gonna make sure that we're connecting. And there were some times that we would like feel disconnected. But then the minute we sat down and we actually were present, we looked each other in the eyes and we just held space for each other, like we just instantly felt more connected. And I think just something like that, and it only went for like an hour, 30 minutes, an hour, but it's like that time that you're actually just investing into your relationship is nothing. If that is the one time of the week that you can just look your partner in the eyes and be completely present, like men especially, I'm to men. But like men especially, like their biggest thing is respect. And I think when we can really understand, who we're dating, whether it's women, whether it's men, but when we can really understand what they need in relationships, like by looking my ex-partner in the eyes, like I was giving him that respect. I was, you know, giving him the time to fully express. And men really need that. Men really need to know that they have their woman that can look at them and give them everything that they need in that time. And so I think that's been a big part of my journey as well, is like really trying to understand who I'm dating, understanding them and what they need from me. And the only way you'll understand that is if you actually have the conversation and ask them the question.
Yeah, I love that so, so much. I love that so much. And I think, yeah, I spoke about this in the live IG as well, where I also do a similar thing. I do it on a monthly basis. We haven't been as great, but like I say, it's a good reminder. We have our check-in as well. But like when you were speaking, there was something that I've heard you talk about before, and I really wanted to touch on it. Uh, the 6 second kiss. Because when I saw you post about this, I was like, this is so cool because like my boyfriend actually said this to me. I didn't know this. And it's just something that we do. And I genuinely love it. I think it's like a game changer. So like I'm curious to know like what actually is behind it.
Yeah, yeah. So the 6 second kiss is just, it's genius because it's like 6 seconds is nothing. So I heard about it on a podcast actually. I think it was a relationship coach of where I actually heard it from. And then I kind of dived a little bit deeper. So what it was that when you're leaving the house or your partner's leaving the house or what, it doesn't really matter if you're still in the house really. But what it is like a 6 second kiss. So often we'll just like go for a peck, goodbye, mwah, good morning. But by lingering that kiss for 6 seconds, it creates all the oxytocin, the love chemicals, and you instantly just feel more connected. And the other thing is like a 20-second hug. So you'll get the same benefits from a 20-second hug as you will from a 6 second kiss. And so 6 seconds is absolutely nothing. If you just held on to that kiss and maybe put a little bit more effort into it, a little bit more passionate, I can guarantee you both will feel just the love for the rest of the day and you'll just instantly feel more connected.
Yeah, I believe you because I feel it. Like you say, 6 seconds is nothing. But at the same time, it's everything in that moment. And like it is
Mm.
funny because all of those feelings come up and you're like, wow, what this is what a 6 second kiss can do. Like imagine,
Mm.
just like incorporating that into a relationship. I love that so much. And so, yeah, I want to know before we clock off, like, is there anything that you think as a dating and relationship coach that needs to be out there, a message or something that we might not have touched on that you think is really important for someone at whatever stage of either dating, self relationship, or being in a relationship that they just need to hear?
Mm. So I definitely just wanted to say, like, relationships are our biggest mirrors. I have noticed that in the past, even when I was going through my toxic relationship stage, that was a mirror for what I was experiencing internally. And then my last relationship, I obviously have completely transformed, and that relationship was a lot more conscious and fulfilling. But the thing I've also realized is that I have really high standards in my relationships. And there was a period where I thought, oh, is what I want not out there because it's too high? And I just wanted to say for any other people who are listening who kind of feels like they could be experiencing that as well, like they're single and they're feeling like maybe they'll never meet their person because of X, Y, and Z. I just wanted to say, like, you will meet your person. Like, never ever drop your standards because you don't think that what you want is out there. If anything, use this time to really like nail in on what you want, how you want to feel, the person or the woman or the man that you want to show up with, or show up as, I should say. And I just want to touch on that because that's been something like as I've been coming into the dating world of like, oh, are my standards too high? And I'm like, no, they're not. Like, it's just not the right time yet. So anyone who's also navigating dating, I just wanted to touch on that because I truly believe that what you want is out there. It's just either not the right time or you're not putting yourself out there or whatever it might be, but just never give up.
Never drop your standards. I love that advice so much. 100%. Never, ever, ever drop your standards. You deserve everything that you want. You deserve everything that is inside those standards. And I love that. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming on. Please let us know where we can find you. So when your guide comes out, we can see your guide and just everything else that you have to offer.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm on Instagram at Love with Rebecca Lauren.
Incredible. Thank you so much. That was easy. Thank you so much for coming on once again. I really appreciate this. I know that the listeners are going to get so much out of this. I know that I have also gotten so much out of this, and it's going to just be so beneficial. We can just keep spreading all of that love. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star rate and review because this helps this podcast get up in the algorithm so we can share the messages far and wide. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all next week.